Hello, and welcome to another edition of On the Hill Media. I'm Fosie Weston, and today we have the candidate for District 15, House of Delegates, Ms. Lara Wibeto. Ms. Wibeto, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, Fosie.
Great. Ms. Wibeto, my first question to you is, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes, I'm originally from a small town where my father was a telephone technician, and he worked 30 years with the Electrical Workers Union and Telecom Union. And my mother is a registered nurse who is still working. She's a case manager at the U.S. Naval Base in Newport, Rhode Island. And she's also a former small town official. She was the town council president of my hometown. So I grew up around the political scene, per se.
Okay.
Which was neat, helping mommy run when she ran.
There you go.
So that was cool, ever since I was a child. So that was neat. And so I had a great teacher in my mom. I'm really lucky. My mother's a great role model. My father, too. My father's a Vietnam vet. All of us have been in the military. My mother, by default, for working on the U.S. Naval Base.
Okay.
And but I've been in. I am a U.S. Army veteran from the Desert Storm era, and I served for 5 years because I re-enlisted in the Army National Guard once I got out of active duty, and stationed in Germany. It was great. I just missed going to combat because the war ended.
Right.
In '93 when I just had graduated from tech school. So I didn't go to combat, but it was great service, and I was happy to volunteer during wartime, and I knew what the risks were. I just knew it was the right thing to do. I also, when I got out of the service, I earned a degree in Human Development and Family Studies with study in Political Science. I was one of very few Human Services and Sciences and Services students who was chosen for a year-long internship in the legislature. So I learned a lot about how a legislature works, how it's run, how bills are drafted, the entire process, the committees, the subcommittees, the hearings, and so I'm ready for that. I enjoyed that very much when I was in college, and I hope to do that for the people here in District 15. I also, beyond my over 10 years as a social worker, I also taught in the public schools, and for 3 years, and I taught middle school language arts and reading, and I also taught on a Native American reservation for the Havasupai Elementary School, and that was a great experience. And that was a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation school. They actually provided internet service for the first time when I was there, so I was able to show the children real-time shuttle liftoffs. They'd never seen that before.
Oh, wow.
They'd never seen a real-time shuttle liftoff because the satellite was so undependable,
Right.
That you didn't get real time because of the canyon walls.
Right.
But Bill and Melinda Gates came down into the canyon and decided that the school needed internet access, and they actually provided satellites and all of the gear.
Sounds
so
great.
The children were able to, be internet savvy, down there. It was fun teaching the kids how to use the internet. It was fun, a lot of fun. And I was glad to be part of that. And I was also proud to be an inner city public school teacher. And I know one of the questions asks, we're going to be, I know we'll be talking about, one of the questions that keeps coming up in interviews is, so how will you get great teachers? How will you retain great teachers when teacher cuts are being proposed? So I look forward to discussing that because I have a lot of good ideas in reference to that. Education funding. I also belong to a lot of community organizations here. I am a Montgomery County Council of PTAs voting delegate, which I enjoy very much. I am also on the NAACP Parent Council for Darnestown Elementary School. I'm on the Darnestown Elementary School Executive Board. I do a lot with that as far as, and I'm on the Health and Safety Committee for the county PTA, and I worked on the anti-bullying legislation on some of the wording, actually. There were a bunch of us that did, work on that wording. And I'm proud to have been part of that. And I really want to focus on cyberbullying when I'm elected. I think bullying is very serious for our young people, and I will be pursuing that vigorously to keep criminals away from our children who are trying to use the internet to hurt our kids.
Right.
I will be aggressively going after that type of bill. And I also am involved in other activities in the community. I am a Literacy Council of Montgomery tutor. I tutor every Wednesday. I have not given that up to run for office. I refuse to leave my students behind because I've decided to run for office. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I refer to it as paying the American dream forward every Wednesday. I feel like I do that every day, but it's great. It's really great. I enjoy it. It keeps me teaching English, so I enjoy that. And my job last year, my most recent full-time position last year was at the Southeast Veterans Center in Southeast DC, working with transitional veterans, male and female veterans, coming out of Walter Reed Army Medical Center and also the Washington, D.C. VA Medical Center, to help them find jobs and permanent housing. I really enjoyed doing that. It was a lot of fun. It was fun seeing our brave men and women re-enter civilian life successfully and to feel good about themselves that they made that huge accomplishment. And people need to realize that we need to be there for our veterans. I know firsthand as a veteran what it takes to successfully re-enter civilian life. And with that knowledge, I'll be able to bring that knowledge to Annapolis with me to make sure that our Maryland troops, veterans, and their family members get access to the benefits that they deserve and that they earned while sacrificing for our country. And some paying the ultimate sacrifice. Their families deserve benefits. I'm going to go after these insurance companies that are giving out these fraudulent policies to our soldiers' families, and they're not getting their benefits. And I'll be aggressively pursuing those insurance companies with some type of legislative action to go after these companies that are offering fraudulent policies to our troops.
In the upcoming year, the state has to make $1 billion in budget cuts. What do you think is going to be our best way to have this successfully done?
Well, I'm very fortunate because I've lived in other areas of the country, and I've learned what works, and I know what doesn't. And I think the programs that work are programs that, for example, years ago, it was mentioned that we should have red light runner cameras for the county. Well, I think that should be expanded statewide to the most dangerous intersections in our state. That's revenue positive. I think that a lot of the programs, especially public safety programs, could be funded a lot better if we actually did have the red light runner cameras in place. They're non-punitive. It's not trickery. You know when you come to a red light, you're supposed to stop. And if you can't see a red light, then maybe you need to be reevaluated as far as your driver's license goes if you're unable to see the red light. I know life happens, but we do have some people that do intentionally run red, and those individuals should be paying a fine at the very least, some kind of reasonable fine. To make sure that we're paying for our public safety programs. Right now in District 15 and across Montgomery County, we have first responders that are using worn gear and equipment and borrowing each other's masks, firefighters that are borrowing each other's masks that don't fit properly. This is a serious problem, and it's called a serious underfunding problem. And so I want to make sure that we have funds from red light runners. I want to go after reckless drivers more aggressively. I think if you're being reckless, you get into a situation where you haven't harmed yourself, but for example, with the big blizzard that we just had, you decide that you're going to go four-wheeling in the blizzard when there's been a state advisory to stay home, unless you need to go back and forth to work, or for some essential item. these individuals who get stuck in Seneca Creek should be fined or have to pay back every penny of the first responder money that was spent. The tow truck fee, the police officers in ambulance and firefighter first responders that came down to the creek to get you out of it during a blizzard, or when you knew there was a flash flood warning and your car is swept downstream and your car is stuck and they've got to get your car out of the creek. It's things like that no one was hurt, but why in the world should the county pay for that? So I think that we should have fees for, stronger fines and penalties for reckless driving. And for drunk drivers, I really want to see the steering wheel locks. I think it's very effective. It works in a lot of other states very successfully, and it helps save lives. Bottom line, behind the wheel and beyond the wheel on the roads. So I think I want to take that up again in this session, big time, the steering wheel locks, because I know that saves people too, and it helps people not to drive drunk. And that's what I want to see. I want to help people to do the right thing. So, it's definitely my social work background coming through, but sometimes in the House of Delegates it takes a good social worker, and that's definitely what I am. And I also would like to go after revenue that's already here, and that would be supporting our small business owners. Ease up on the taxation, because this past session increased the employee insurance taxes, which forced a lot of small business owners to let people go.
Right.
Or basically to take their businesses elsewhere. And some have they don't exist anymore because of the taxation in our county. The tax is going up so much. And so we need to stimulate the economy by offering better incentives and to have projects in the master plans around the county, like for the Great Seneca Science Corridor, and for the Bellward Farm, the Johns Hopkins Cancer Research Center. Those things, we need to get the balls rolling on those projects, because we have over 26,000 people right here in our county that need jobs.
Right.
And they're waiting, and they've been waiting, and the wheels, some feel that the wheels in Annapolis have been turning, but they've been turning in the same place very slowly and for too long.
Right.
And I want to help speed up the wheels of progress for everybody here, and really, get those balls rolling, because the small business owners are looking for work, and there's very little work. There are very few projects, and so a lot of people are being strained financially. That shouldn't be. I mean, we need to get the economy going again, and we need to rebuild from the recession.
Right.
And that will be my primary focus, will be getting people back to work. I've already done work on that. I worked on the Paycheck Fairness Act with Moms Rising, which is a great nonpartisan advocacy group I belong to. And I also have worked on the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, trying to get fair pay for women across the board nationally. And I also want to see better workers' protections for our immigrants here statewide. I think that some are falling through the cracks. Some of our immigrant men and women are not being treated well in the community, and we need to make sure that on the state level, we're offering protections under the law and basic, civil rights and workers' protections. And this has been an issue for a really long time here in Maryland and nationwide. And so I'm very much against going after our immigrants, persecuting them in some way. I really think that this is a country built on the backs of immigrants. If it weren't for immigrants, we wouldn't have all the great things that we have.
Right.
If we didn't have everyone from all over the world coming here. That's what makes us a great nation. So we need to be respectful to our immigrant people here.